ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। श्रुति स्मृति पुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ॐ त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव। ओम गुरुदेव भगवान शिव शंकर भोलेनाथ कैलाशपति महाराज की जय, भगवान व्यास जी महाराज की जय, शंकराचार्य भगवान की जय, स्वामी चिन्मयानंद भगवान की जय, स्वामी दयानंद भगवान की जय, स्वामी प्रबुधानंद भगवान की जय, स्वामी शुद्धानंद भगवान की जय, साध्वी आनंद ज्योति जी की जय, माता पिता की जय, सभी गुरु देवताओं की जय, सभी गुरु देवताओं की जय। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, and we have completed verse number 12, in which Bhagavan explained that Karma Yoga is not a technique. First, he told us what is the meaning of purification of mind. The one who is endowed with Karma Yoga, giving up result of action, gains a composure. Born of commitment to life of Karma Yoga, whereas the one who is not committed to the life of Karma Yoga, led by the desire, is bound, is being attached to the result of action. A Karma Yogi does his action with prasad buddhi, and because of prasad buddhi, he is not affected by the karma phalas. He is not affected by the ragas and dveshas. Ragas and dveshas about the karma phala. He has an attitude of offering karmas to the Ishvara, and that attitude helps him with prasad buddhi. The Karma Yogi does not impute to the self all the omissions and commissions of the past, and with reference to the present, whatever happens is taken as prasada. He or she is not dictated by ragas and dveshas. He has Ishwar Arpan Buddhi. He offers all his karmas to Ishvara. That is called Ishwar Arpan Buddhi. He looks upon Dharma as Ishvara, Ishvara as Dharma. So he is able to simply take karma phala as prasad. He does not do any action for fulfillment of his ragas and dveshas. There is no attachment to the actions and their results. Because Karma Yogi does not desire that a given thing should happen or that some other thing should happen, should not happen, this should happen, this should not happen. He is not desirous of the result. Whatever happens, happens. He is composed. That composure is Shanti. That Shanti brings in Antakaran Shuddhi. This attitude of Karma Yogi, who says, I perform action for Ishvara, and this attitude purifies his mind. Antakaran Shuddhi is nothing but Shanti. And Karma Yoga is not a technique. This is what we heard in last class. Karma Yoga is not a technique of doing things. Because techniques wear out, they become old, or they become monotonous. So this technique will not give you Shanti. Monotonous lifestyle also doesn't give you Shanti. When you go to a beautiful beach, for a while you find Shanti there. For a while. You be happy, and that happy state is Shanti. But you cannot enjoy that for a very long time. If you continue it for a long time, it will become monotonous. So that Shanti doesn't last long. Karma Yoga is not a Shanti. And it is not like a pranayam also. It is not a technique. Pranayam also gives you Shanti for a time period. When you do pranayam, when you sit, breathe in, breathe out, and you are with yourself, Shanti is attained. No doubt. There is no doubt about it. But this is a very good discipline. You learn to be in discipline. And this Shanti is also for a limited period. And you cannot continue doing pranayam for the whole day, entire week, continuously you cannot do. So that also is time bound. Unlike a technique or a discipline, Karma Yoga is not a particular action. Karma Yoga is a person who has Ishwar Arpan Buddhi. And when such a person performs action, he or she conforms to Dharma. This is what we saw in last class. Today Bhagwan explains about Jnana and Nishtha. We also did relative Shanti and Swarupa Shanti. Discussed about that. Relative Shanti. Naishtikam Shanti, a composure born of Nishtha, a commitment, can be understood either as a relative composure or absolute composure. Depending upon the interpretation of the word Nishtha, Nishtha can be Yoga Nishtha and which is Karma Yoga, and Jnana Nishtha. Jnana Nishtha means because of knowledge. The Shanti born of Yoga Nishtha can be a relative Shanti. And this relative Shanti brings in Antakaran Shuddhi. The person gains Jnana. When Antakaran Shuddhi takes place, person gains Jnana. Yoga Nishtha Shanti. And then comes Jnana Shanti, attained by the knowledge. When one understands that all what he does is not done, he is a karta of all these actions. When one understands himself as a karta, the doership, when the doership goes, then he attains a Shanti. He performs no action, and that brings a Shanti, that is Jnana Shanti. And the one who has this knowledge of Atma has a Swarup Shanti. Ananda, Paramananda. This is Paramananda. And then Bhagavan explains the one who is not endowed with Karma Yoga remains bound. In the verse he explains, the second line of the verse says, Ayuktah kamkarena phale sakto nibdhayate, nibdhayate. Nibadhayate, nibadhayate. He is bound. He remains bound. The one who does not do his karma as Karma Yoga is bound with the karma phalas, because he does his karmas for his fulfillment of his desires. And the one who does the karmas with the fulfillment, for the fulfillment of desires, is interested in karma phalas. He is drowned with the ragas and dveshas, sukha and dukkha, karma phalas. When person is dictated by ragas and dveshas, consideration for right and wrong is set aside. The karmi remains bound, the ayukta remains bound. Nibadhayate, to karma and karma phalas. He is bound to karmas and karma phalas, to punyas and papas. And he remains in the cycle of birth and death, and he continues in that cycle, because he hasn't started doing his karma as Karma Yoga. Therefore, Bhagavan says to Arjuna, tells Arjuna, you may become Karma Yogi. Once you become a Karma Yogi, you will gain Shanti. That will lead you to Jnana Nishtha. And what is Jnana Nishtha? Bhagavan Krishna explains Jnana Nishtha in verse number 13, which we will do today. Bhagavan says, Sarva Karmani Mansa Sananyasyasate Sukham Vashi Navdware Pure Dehi Naiva Kurvanne Karyan. The indweller of the physical body, Vasi, the one who is controlled, Dehi, the indweller of the physical body, Manasa, mentally, by knowledge, Sarva Karmani, all actions, Sannyasa, having renounced, Navadwara Pure, in the nine-gated city, 2, 2, 2, 1, and all. They are nine-gated. We'll come across. Nine-gated city, the body. Iva indeed na kuravan, not performing action, na karayan, nor causing others to act, sukham happily aste remains. The indweller of the physical body, the one who is in self-controlled, having renounced all action mentally by knowledge, remains happily in nine-gated city, the body, neither performing action nor causing others to act. Here Gyan Nishtha is discussed by presenting the sannyasi who has renounced all actions by knowledge. If you renounce all actions by knowledge, with the help of knowledge, then you become a sannyasi. We have seen previously the two meanings of sannyasa. One being the renunciation of action by will when a person takes a life of sannyasa, and other being renunciation of actions by knowledge. The later, the sannyasa, renunciation of all actions by knowledge, is the one discussed in this verse. The one who renounces all actions by knowledge is discussed in this verse. Since this knowledge take place in the mind, the word manasa, mind, is used here in the sense of knowledge. Mentally one gives up karmas. How? By knowledge. Therefore mansa means jnanena, by knowledge, by knowing Atma, I performs no action. Atma, the I, the Atma, does not perform any action. The person says, I don't perform. In knowledge, Jnana Drishti, person says, in Jnana Drishti, with the help of knowledge, I don't perform any action. I, the Atma, doesn't perform any action. The person who has this knowledge is called Vasi here. One who has his personality together. Vasa means control. Who is in control? Bringing power such as money or kingdom under your control is called Vashikaranam. The one who has controlled the outside world, the one who controls the self, the body, mind and sense organs. What you can have under control is your body, mind and senses. In fact, there is nothing else in your vasha, not even your child. Outside world, there is nothing that you can control. You can say you have it. That is also for time being. There is a limit of your power of holding. The one with the greater, as soon as the one with the greater power comes, your power is gone. So there is no vashikarana in the outside world. So what you can control actually is your body, mind and senses. Otherwise the child would always do as you say, which does not happen. Therefore you only your own body, mind and senses can be in your control. The person in whose control are these is called Vashi. The master of nine-gated cities. The Jnani is naturally a Vashi, and in this verse he is also referred to as Dehi, one who dwells in the Deha, the one who is in the Deha, physical body. Krishna here says that the one who has everything under control, the Dehi, indweller of the body, having given up all action by his knowledge, remains happily in the nine-gated city. Navadvara Pure, the nine-gated city is physical body that has 9 doors or gates, apertures. 2 sockets of the eyes, 2 sockets of the nostril, 4, 2 sockets of the ear, 6, 1 mouth, 7, and 2 sockets, 2 apertures for rejection, which we have in the lower part of the body. This makes 9. And in this 9-gated city, the Jnani remains happily. Here one can raise an objection. Since everyone dwells in this physical body, why does Krishna makes a point of saying that the Jnani alone dwells the body? The reason is that people do not know that they are dwelling in the body. If you ask them where they are located, they will say, I live in this city, I live in this area, on this street, in this building, in this apartment, and so on. They see themselves located somewhere, but no one says, I am seated in my body. They take the body as to be the self. And the body is seated somewhere, and so they think the self is located in that place. The ignorant does not know that body is the place where the self dwells, and that body is not the self. This body is not the self. This is to be understood. To make it clear that body is not the self, Bhagwan describes the body here as 9-gated city, in which the person, the self dwells. The wise man knows, I am not the body. I dwell in the body. This is why giving up all action, knowing that action is nothing but the sense organs being engaged in their respective field, the Jnani says, I perform no action and remain happily in the body. The Jnani knows that he or she does no work. And if one does not do any work, how can one get worked up about anything? Therefore, for the Jnani, there is no problem. He or she simply remains happily. Sukham aste. People think that they would be happy if they did not have work. But in fact, no one work at all because the self is actionless. People say they are working. People say, I am working so hard. But wise man knows this, and therefore the work is not a burden for him at all. People are burdened with the work. Lot of work in their mind. This work, that work. Work. We saw in the 3rd chapter how no one can completely give up all action. Nahi kaschit khashanapi jatu nisthati akarmakrat. Akarmakrat. Even in deep sleep, certain involuntary activities are going on. In the 18th chapter also, Krishna would say that it is not possible for one who has physical body to give up all actions entirely. Nahi deha brata sakhyam tayuktam karmani ashishataha. As long as the person is alive, some actions will go on. The body will keep on doing something or the other. Body keeps on doing. Body is doing its own karma. Body, eyes are seeing. Eyes have to see. If they will keep on seeing, if you open your eyes, you will see. It is not you who sees. Eyes. You can open your eyes and still not see. Your ears are open and still many times you don't hear. Why then does Krishna says here that actions are given up by the Jnani? If it is not possible to give up actions completely, how does Jnani renounce all action? This verse tells us that they are given up mentally. Manasa sannyasa. mentally renounce. Even these karmas done by the body are renounced. Actually, I am not doing. I am not even talking. I am not the person. I am not at all the doer. The word mansa makes it clear that renunciation by knowledge is what is meant here. The knowledge that Atma, I perform no action whatsoever. We may think that Atma itself does not perform action, but perhaps it makes the mind, the intellect, and so on perform action. But Atma neither perform action na karoti nor directs the body and senses, mind and intellect to perform action. Na karyati, na karoti, na karyati. This is saying that Jnani has renounced action by knowledge. Atma doesn't do, nor it dictates. Atma doesn't tell eyes to see. Atma is not seeing at all. And with this knowledge, the Jnani abides in the happiness, fullness that is his or her nature. This is Jnanam. Purna. In a walled city, there would always be a Swami, king, or master of the various activities going on inside the city. The wise person is also called a Swami because he or she is the master of the body, mind, and senses. The one who is master of the body, mind, and senses is called Swami. This Swami dwells in the body, the nine-gated city, and remains happily Sukham aste because he or she does not identify with the body, mind, and senses. The Swami understands that physical body, mind, and senses complex is a pura city, and that he is the Pura Swami, the master of the city, performing no action. This person does not have the problem that king has because he knows that Atma neither perform action nor cause others to perform action. Neither Atma performs any action nor it causes others to perform action. The same thing in the second chapter when he told Arjuna, Krishna said in the same thing, he told Arjuna that the one who knows Atma kills no one nor causes anyone kill. Such a person performs no action whatsoever, either directly or indirectly. The nature of Atma is consciousness. It performs no action. At the same time, no action is possible without the Atma. Thus, there is no seer without Atma. But Atma is not the seer. There is no hearer without Atma. But Atma is not the hearer. There is no seer without Atma. But Atma is not seer. There is no seer. I am not seeing. But there is no other seer than Atma. Seer without Atma. Knowing this is what is meant by manasa sannyasa, renouncing mentally in terms of knowledge. Seeing, I perform no action of seeing. Hearing, I perform no action of hearing. Seeing, I perform no action of seeing. देखते हुए भी कहना कि मैं नहीं देखता हूं. आत्मा नहीं देख रही है. सुनते हुए भी कहना कि आत्मा नहीं, मैं नहीं सुनता हूं क्योंकि आत्मा नहीं सुन रही है. I perform no action of thinking even. Thinking, I say, I don't perform any action of thinking. Atma, I never perform any action. Atma never performed action, nor does Atma perform action now. Now also Atma is not performing any action. Previously one did not know it. Now one does. Knowing this fact, one is free from doing. Further, Bhagwan says, knowing Atma performs no action, one is free from doing. न कर्तृत्वं न कर्माणि लोकस्य सृजति प्रभु न कर्म फल संयोगम स्वभावस्तु प्रवर्तते. Prabhu, the one who is self-effulgent, Atma, lokasya, for any person, kartavam, doership, kartavam, na sarjati, does not create, na karmani, nor does he create action, na karma phala samayogam sarjati, nor the connection with the result of action too, but swabhava, one's own nature, pravartate, leads to action. Atma creates neither doership nor action for any person, nor the connection with the result of action, but one's own nature leads to action. In this verse, we are told why the wise person can remain happily in the physical body. Existence cannot be established unless there is a consciousness. The self-existent, self-effulgent Atma is called Prabhu here. This Prabhu, kartatva na sarijati lokasya, does not create doership for the person. Atma does not issue order to anyone and therefore does not create doership in anyone. Doership can be created if someone orders you, please do this, and you do it. That is doership. Atma does not ask anyone to do anything, nor does it ask the mind, the intellect, or the memory to do, to think, to decide. It does not say, come on, recollect, get depressed, get angry. Atma doesn't say all these things. Learn Vedanta. Even Atma doesn't say about learning of Vedanta. Atma doesn't say get depressed. It does not issue such orders to anyone. Even to eyes, nose and ears, it doesn't say, please see, please hear, please smell for me. It doesn't even say to the tongue, please taste for me. It is not the cause of doership within oneself, nor is it the cause of anyone else's doership. Neither the Atma does, nor it causes. What was the word? Na karoti, na karayati. Na karoti, na karyati. The person who knows this was described in the previous verse as Vashi, meaning master, one who is seated happily inside the 9-gated city. The physical body, just as king sits in his walled city with many gates, there is, however, as in all illustration, a defect in this comparison between a king and a Vashi. Even though others do the work, yet the king is the karta, doer. In that case, king is the karta. He sits on his throne wearing a crown and wields the royal scepter of power. In business house also, it is not the employees who do, it is the boss is the karta. Therefore, this comparison is little defected. When we say king, like a king, 9 lives in a city, and he is not doing, his subjects are doing. But in that case, subjects are doing for the king. Therefore, king is the karta, boss is the karta. Whereas the question now is Atma also the doer like a king? Is Atma seated in its inner chamber, ordering the mind, intellect, and so on to do various things? If so, Atma would also be a karta, doer. In response to this question, Bhagavan says that Atma does not create or cause doership. Please understand, this is very important. In that example, king is karta. But in the case of Atma, Atma is not karta. Because Atma does not create or cause doership. Kartatvam na srijati. Meaning that even indirectly, Atma is not involved in doing anything. The question may arise here, while I can understand that Atma is not a doer, is it not the Atma that makes the mind and the senses function? Even the Shruti described Atma as Srutrasya, Srutram, ear of the ear, Manaso Manaha, mind of the mind, Chakshusa Chakshu, eyes of the eyes, and so on. Since Atma is said to be behind all the function, does Atma not order all of them? Krishna says, no, sir. No, it is not so. Atma does not create karma. Atma does not create any action. Karmani na sirajati, meanings that Atma performs no action. Karmani na karoti, thus na srijati, does not create, is understood as na karoti, does not do. Atma does not perform action directly or indirectly. Atma is not the doer. This will take time. This is an understanding. This has to be understood very clearly. If we translate the word karmani, it is grammatical sense. The phrase karmani na sirjate means that Atma does not create objects. Karma in grammar means the objects. Object of verbs such as chariot, pot, house, and so on. These are called objects in term of action. For instance, when you say he makes a pot, she bakes a cake, the children eat food, the object like pot, cake, food, etc. are not created by Atma. Atma neither performs action nor creates object. Karmani na sarajati. So the word karmani here can be understood as object of an action as well as action itself. Atma also does not create karma phala samyoga. Since the result of actions are accrued to the karta, the doer, Krishna also says that Atma does not create this connection between the result of an action and the doer. Na karma phala samyoga srijati. The result of actions are in keeping with the laws of Ishvara. But here we are talking about Ishvara Swarupa, which is also Atma, the self. Since Atma neither creates doership nor object, it does not create the connection between one's action and the result of action. If Atma does not do anything, who is that does it all? The question is still there. If Atma is not the anything, does not do anything, who is it that does all this? Krishna says, Swabhavastu pravratete. The one's own nature engages in itself. We saw this in verse number 9 of this chapter when Krishna said, the sense organs engage themselves in sense objects. The sense organs are swabhava. The eyes see, the ears hear, the mind thinks, and intellect decides, and so on. Due to lack of discrimination, one superimposes these activities on Atma. I hope you are understanding this. The sense organ engage themselves. The eyes see. It is not the Atma seeing, it is the eyes seeing. The sense organ is engaged. Sense organ has to engage. The mind thinks. Due to lack of discrimination, one superimposes these activities on Atma, which is why one thinks, I am the doer, I am the thinker, and so on. Since people do not know that there is superimposition, Krishna discuss it in the next verse. Verse number 15. People are deluded because knowledge is covered by ignorance. This ignorance is to be rectified. This we will see tomorrow. Om Tat Sat. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnad Purnamudashyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.